brave souls, to a journey into the shadows. Tonight, we delve into the unsettling and the unexplained, exploring 3 chilling encounters with creatures that defy our understanding. These are not just tales spun to scare, but true accounts from those who have faced the unknown. Prepare yourself for terror beyond the ordinary as we uncover the dark secrets of these 3 disturbing, true unknown creature stories. The first story is about the shadows of Los Angeles. Lisa had always dreamed of making it big in Hollywood. After years of small-town living in Iowa, she finally saved enough money to move to Los Angeles. She found a small apartment in a not-so-safe neighborhood, but she didn't mind. It was a stepping stone to her dreams. Her new life was exhilarating but challenging. She worked long hours at a local diner while attending auditions and acting classes. The glitz and glamour of Hollywood were tantalizingly close, yet frustratingly out of reach. Despite the struggles, Lisa remained optimistic. She knew success required perseverance and sacrifice. One night, after a late shift at the diner, Lisa noticed a shadowy figure following her. At first, she brushed it off as paranoia. Los Angeles was a big city with its fair share of strange characters. However, the feeling persisted. Every night, she saw the same shadow lurking in the distance, always keeping its distance but never quite disappearing. Lisa mentioned the stalker to her co-workers, but they dismissed her concerns. "It's probably just some guy with a crush," one of them suggested. "As long as he keeps his distance, you're fine." But Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that this was something more sinister. One evening, Lisa decided to confront the stalker. Armed with pepper spray, she waited in a dark alley where she had often seen the shadow. Her heart pounded as she hid behind a dumpster, the cold metal pressing against her back. She could hear the distant hum of traffic, the occasional honk of a car horn, and the murmurs of people walking by. Minutes passed like hours. Just as she was about to give up and go home, she heard footsteps approaching. She tightened her grip on the pepper spray, ready to defend herself. The shadowy figure stepped into the alley, moving with an eerie grace. Lisa's breath caught in her throat as she stepped out of her hiding spot and sprayed her pepper spray wildly. To her horror, the figure was not human. It was a tall, lanky creature with glowing red eyes and razor-sharp teeth. The creature hissed, a sound that chilled Lisa to her core, and vanished into the darkness. Trembling, Lisa ran home and locked herself in her apartment, her mind racing with questions and fears. Terrified, Lisa installed a dashcam in her car, hoping to capture evidence of the creature. The next few nights were tense. She avoided walking alone and stayed alert for any signs of the stalker. One night, as she drove home from work, she saw the creature again. It darted across the road, illuminated by her headlights for a split second. Lisa's heart raced as she parked her car and hurried inside. She reviewed the dashcam footage, her hands shaking. The creature's face appeared clearly, staring directly into the camera before vanishing into thin air. Lisa gasped, her fear turning into determination. She needed to find out what this creature was and how to stop it. Determined to uncover the truth, Lisa began researching local legends and paranormal phenomena. She spent hours in the library and on the internet, sifting through stories of ghostly encounters and unexplained events. One night, she stumbled upon an old newspaper article about a series of mysterious deaths in her neighborhood. The article described shadowy figures known as shadow stalkers that preyed on the fears of their victims, feeding off their terror. These creatures were said to be ancient spirits, cursed to wander the earth in search of sustenance. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine as she realized she was dealing with something far more dangerous than she had imagined. Lisa decided to set a trap for the creature. With the help of a local paranormal investigator named Mark, she devised a plan to lure the shadow stalker into the open. Mark was skeptical at first, but agreed to help after seeing the dashcam footage. They set up cameras and motion sensors around Lisa's apartment, ready to capture any signs of the creature. The night was tense. Lisa and Mark waited in her living room, the only light coming from the flickering candles they had placed around the room. Hours passed, with no sign of the shadow stalker. Just as they were about to give up, the temperature dropped and a cold breeze swept through the room. The creature appeared, its red eyes glowing in the darkness. It moved towards Lisa, hissing and snarling. Mark shouted at the creature, holding up a cross and chanting in a language Lisa didn't understand. The creature shrieked, its form flickering and distorting. The cameras captured every moment as the shadow stalker slowly disintegrated, its terrifying visage fading into nothingness. Though Lisa never saw the shadow stalker again, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She eventually moved to a safer neighborhood and continued to pursue her dreams, but the encounter left a lasting scar. She shared her story in hopes of warning others about the lurking dangers in the shadows of Los Angeles. Mark published a report on their encounter, detailing the evidence they had gathered and the methods they used to defeat the creature. The story spread quickly, drawing attention from both skeptics and believers. While some dismissed it as a hoax, others saw it as proof that the supernatural was real. Lisa's life gradually returned to normal. She landed a few small roles in commercials and TV shows, slowly building her career. Despite the lingering fear, she remained resilient. She knew that whatever challenges she faced in her pursuit of stardom, she had already overcome a nightmare most people couldn't even imagine. And so the story of the shadow stalker became a part of Hollywood lore, a chilling reminder that sometimes the city of dreams could also be a city of nightmares. The second story is about the Haunted Lighthouse. Jack had always been fascinated by lighthouses. When he heard about an old, abandoned lighthouse needing a caretaker, he jumped at the chance. Situated on a remote cliffside, the lighthouse was rumored to be haunted, but Jack didn't believe in ghosts. The lighthouse, built in the early 1800s, had a rich history. It had guided countless ships safely to shore, but had also witnessed numerous tragedies. Jack, an avid historian, was eager to uncover its secrets. He moved in with a sense of excitement and anticipation, ready to start his new life. From the moment Jack moved in, strange things began happening. Doors creaked open on their own, footsteps echoed in empty halls, and at night he could hear faint whispers carried by the wind. Despite these unsettling events, Jack remained skeptical. One evening, while exploring the lighthouse, Jack found an old journal belonging to a previous keeper. The journal detailed strange occurrences and ghostly encounters. The keeper wrote about a woman's voice calling out in the night, objects moving on their own, and a sense of being watched. One stormy night, Jack decided to investigate the source of the whispers. Armed with a flashlight, he climbed the spiraling staircase to the top of the lighthouse. As he reached the lantern room, he saw a ghostly figure of a woman staring out to sea. When he called out, the figure vanished. Jack was shaken, but intrigued. He began keeping a journal of his own, documenting every strange occurrence. He set up cameras and audio recorders, hoping to capture evidence of the paranormal. His determination grew with each passing day. Determined to uncover the truth, Jack delved into the lighthouse's history. He learned about a tragic shipwreck that occurred over a century ago. The lighthouse keeper at the time had failed to light the beacon, resulting in the deaths of many, including his own wife, who now haunted the lighthouse seeking her lost love. Jack discovered old newspaper articles and maritime records that corroborated the story. The lighthouse keeper, consumed by guilt and grief, had taken his own life shortly after the tragedy. Local legends spoke of his wife's spirit eternally searching for her husband and the lost sailors. As Jack continued his investigation, the paranormal activity intensified. Objects moved on their own, cold spots appeared out of nowhere, and the whispers grew louder. Jack realized the spirit was trying to communicate with him. One night, while reviewing footage from his cameras, Jack saw the ghostly figure of the woman again. She moved through the rooms of the lighthouse, her form translucent and ethereal. Jack felt a mix of fear and compassion. He knew she was trapped, unable to find peace. Jack decided to hold a séance to communicate with the spirit. With the help of a local medium named Clara, they set up a circle of candles and joined hands. Clara began chanting, her voice steady and calm. The room grew colder, and a faint glow appeared in the center of the circle. The spirit of the lighthouse keeper's wife appeared, her face etched with sorrow. She spoke through Clara, revealing her anguish and longing for her husband. She couldn't rest until she found him and made amends for the tragedy. Jack, moved by the spirit's plight, promised to help. He set out to find any descendants of the lighthouse keeper, hoping to bring closure. After months of searching, he found a distant relative who agreed to visit the lighthouse. During their visit, the spirit of the wife appeared one last time, and with tears in her eyes, she finally found peace. The relative, a kind elderly woman named Margaret, spoke to the spirit, offering words of comfort and forgiveness. The atmosphere in the lighthouse changed, the oppressive weight lifting as the spirit finally moved on. Jack felt a sense of relief and accomplishment. The lighthouse was no longer haunted, and Jack continued his duties with a sense of fulfillment. He turned the lighthouse into a museum, sharing its tragic yet beautiful history with visitors. The story of the haunted lighthouse became a local legend, reminding everyone that love and sorrow could transcend even death. Visitors from all over the world came to see the lighthouse and hear its story. Jack's dedication to preserving its history and honoring the spirits that once haunted it earned him respect and admiration. He continued to research and document other haunted locations, becoming a well-known figure in the paranormal community. Years passed, and the lighthouse remained a beacon of history and mystery. Jack eventually retired, passing on his knowledge and passion to a new caretaker. He moved to a small cottage nearby, content with the life he had lived. As he looked out at the lighthouse from his cottage window, Jack couldn't help but smile. He knew that the spirits of the past were finally at peace, and their stories would continue to inspire and intrigue for generations to come. And so, the haunted lighthouse stood as a testament to the power of love, loss, and redemption, a beacon of hope in a world filled with darkness and light. The third story is about the Skinwalker in the Woods. Sarah, Mike, and their friends decided to go on a camping trip deep in the woods of Arizona. They had heard rumors about the area being haunted, but dismissed them as mere local folklore. Little did they know they were venturing into the territory of a skinwalker. The group consisted of Sarah, her boyfriend Mike, and their friends Emily, Jake, and Sam. They were all seasoned campers, eager to spend a weekend away from the hustle and bustle of city life. They packed their gear, loaded up their SUV, and set off for the remote campsite. The first night in the woods was uneventful, but things began to change the following evening. As they gathered around the campfire, they heard strange noises coming from the forest. It sounded like a mix of animal growls and human whispers. Despite their unease, they brushed it off and went to sleep. Sarah woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps outside her tent. She listened intently, her heart pounding. The footsteps were light and deliberate, moving around the campsite. She peeked out of her tent but saw nothing. Shaking her head, she convinced herself it was just an animal. The next day, while hiking, Sarah noticed something peculiar. She spotted a figure watching them from a distance. When she pointed it out to Mike, it vanished. The figure was tall and thin, its eyes glowing in the shadows. Mike assured her it was just a trick of the light, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. As night fell, the group once again heard the eerie noises, this time closer and more distinct. The growls and whispers seemed to surround them, sending chills down their spines. They huddled closer to the campfire, trying to ignore the sense of impending doom. Mike decided to investigate and ventured into the woods with a flashlight. The beam of light cut through the darkness, revealing nothing but trees and shadows. Suddenly, he was confronted by a creature that seemed to change shape before his eyes. One moment it looked like a coyote, the next a human, and then something entirely unrecognizable. Terrified, Mike ran back to the campsite. He burst into the circle of light cast by the campfire, his face pale and eyes wide with fear. "We need to leave," he gasped. "Now." The group, seeing the terror in Mike's eyes, didn't argue. They quickly packed their gear, their hands trembling with urgency. As they prepared to leave, Sarah recalled stories her grandmother had told her about skinwalkers, shape-shifting witches of Navajo legend who could take on the form of animals to cause harm. The group realized they were dealing with something far more dangerous than they had anticipated. Sarah explained the legend to her friends, recounting tales of skinwalkers preying on travelers and causing inexplicable disappearances. The atmosphere grew tense as they realized they were in over their heads. The darkness of the forest seemed to close in around them, the once peaceful woods now filled with unseen threats. That night, the skinwalker attacked. It prowled around their tents, mimicking the voices of the campers, trying to lure them out. The group huddled together, armed with whatever they could find. The creature's eyes glowed in the dark, and its growls sent chills down their spines. Sarah's voice trembled as she called out to the creature, demanding it leave them alone. The skinwalker responded with a chilling laugh, a sound that echoed through the forest. The group's fear turned to desperation as they realized they were trapped with no way to escape. Determined to escape, the group decided to make a run for their car at first light. The journey through the woods was harrowing, with the skinwalker in hot pursuit. They could hear its footsteps and guttural sounds growing closer. The darkness seemed to stretch on forever, each step taking them deeper into the unknown. As dawn approached, they finally reached their car and sped off, leaving the skinwalker behind. The ordeal left them shaken and scarred. They reported their encounter to the local authorities, but without any physical evidence, it was dismissed as a wild tale. The woods of Arizona remain an unsolved mystery, with the skinwalker legend living on. The group's story quickly spread, becoming one of the many unsolved mysteries of the region. Some believed them, recounting similar experiences, while others scoffed, calling it a mere campfire story. Sarah and her friends knew the truth, their terrifying encounter forever etched in their memories. They shared their story with anyone who would listen, warning them of the dangers that lurked in the dark. The legend of the skinwalker became a cautionary tale, a chilling reminder of the unknown creatures that might be hiding in the shadows. Sarah and Mike never returned to those woods. The experience left them deeply scarred, but also brought them closer together. They moved to a different city, hoping to leave the nightmare behind. Emily, Jake, and Sam also moved on, but the memories of that fateful trip never faded. Sarah continued to research skinwalkers, determined to find a way to protect others from the same fate. She wrote a book detailing their encounter, blending folklore with their first-hand experience. The book gained a following, sparking debates and discussions about the existence of skinwalkers and other supernatural beings. And so, the legend of the skinwalker in the woods of Arizona lived on, a story of fear, survival, and the unexplainable mysteries that lurk in the shadows of our world. As we conclude these chilling tales, the fear of the unknown lingers. The creatures we've encountered remind us that many mysteries still haunt our world. Are they just stories, or do these entities truly exist in the shadows? Stay vigilant, for you never know when you might encounter the unknown. Until next time, stay aware and beware of what lies in the darkness.